Wild doesn't mean broken. It means untamed, unmasked, and unapologetically you. If you've ever felt too distracted, too much, or too different, tonight's reading is your sacred permission slip to embrace your authentic self. This right here is tarot for the wild ADHD woman. And together, we'll uncover the medicine hidden in your chaos, the power in your sensitivity, and the freedom that comes when you stop trying to fit in and finally let yourself belong. Welcome to Maiden Mother Crone Tarot, where we hold sacred space for divine diversity, also known as ADHD. My name is Kayla, and I'm so glad you joined me tonight. Today is day 26 of the 0303 series, where I'm showing up for 30 days, bringing messages of joy, messages of hope, and messages of radical self-acceptance for women with ADHD. Today's tarot topic is embracing your authentic self. Tarot for the wild ADHD woman. But before we begin, we're going to do some breath work. The purpose of this is to allow us to slow down. This space is sacred. It's held for you and it's held for me. For us to come together in sisterhood, to create safe community, and to allow our bodies to relax and regulate in the safety of now. Let me go ahead and give you a heads up tonight. Maybe hear my voice a good bit. I'm listening through some blockages in my throat chakra that are aligned with something that's going to be part of the finale of the series. A new way of using my voice, and I know it's aligned, but my body has to feel safe with it. So I have a little bit of resistance there. So please give me, bear with me. You have my one cup of tea. It's so great every time I drink some. We're going to do some simple breath work. We'll do 3 rounds, breathing in for 6, holding for 2, and breathing out for 8. Through these simple exercises, I encourage you to get in touch with your body. Tap into how you're feeling, any tightness, tension, flutters, pressure, heaviness, any type of sensation in your body. Pay attention to it and see if you can relieve it, if you can release it, if you can soften and settle into now, if you can feel safe and know that your voice and your presence matters here. So again, we'll do 3 rounds. Are you ready? Go ahead and pay attention to your body. Do another step. How do you feel now that you've oxygenated your body? You've given it space to breathe. You've given it space to fully expand. You feel the softness, the safety, the embrace invite you to continue to work through any tension you carry in your body throughout tonight's reading. Continue to soften. Continue to open to receive. Before I began the live stream, when I was working with the energies, working with the cards, I was trying to decide what tonight's topic should be. And I used one of my decks, personal decks, and assigned a different type of challenge that we face to each of the suits. Excuse me. Emotional overwhelm was assigned to the cups. Self-acceptance and self-love were assigned to the pentacles. Sorry guys, it's leaks in my brain. Trying to remember. I don't remember what the other ones were now. I don't want to keep holding up my message. The swords were mental overwhelm. And the wands I think were worthiness, maybe. I can't remember. The card that came out for me when I was trying to decide was the Three of Pentacles. And I thought that was so beautiful. Because the Three of Pentacles is all about collaboration. That's what this community is for us to show up for each other, to show up and have a safe space, have a sacred container, to just be as we are, to come as we are, and to promote each other, to cheer each other on as we become the truest version of ourselves, the highest version of ourselves, the one that integrates both the light and the dark, the one that's not ashamed of any part of ADHD, and the one that truly is not limited by ADHD, but understands it's just one part of the wholeness of consciousness, one part of you, one part of everything. It's not a limitation. It's just a way to describe something we experience. A couple days ago, I was thinking about identities, right? All the different identities we have as a mother, our race, our gender, our occupation, whether we're an introvert or an extrovert. And the more I got to think about it, the more I realized that identities, the words we use for them, are just an attempt to convey a specific experience we have here, right? It's not meant to limit us. It's meant to provide context for us, because we require words to communicate here. Not everyone does, right? Some people can communicate telepathically. But here, words are a necessary part of our experience. But somewhere along the way, we allowed words to define us instead of just defining an aspect or an experience that we are going through. So all that to say that ADHD is not a limitation. It is an ego identity. It's something we experience. And the only reason that we feel it is a limitation is because of the experience in this plane, right? If we were in a different dimension, if we were angels or light beings or who knows, right? Wherever. Some places, in all the NDEs, they talk about there is no need for words. You have a thought. And it's instantly understood completely. There's no room for miscommunication. There's no room for misunderstanding. There's no room for delay. Things are instantly manifested, right? So while it's challenging to us to have all of these different identities, all of these different expressions of ourselves, whether that is something that we are trying to work with now as we incorporate all parts of ourselves, as we understand how we're mirrors of everyone, as we understand that each expression is just one fractal of consciousness, right? Each soul limitation, each identity. Oh, yes, in this plane, in this moment, in this instant, that is part of my experience. It's not a defining factor of everything. So I really want us to get away from being tied to the idea of ADHD so much. You know, we can get back to the idea of our eternal being, our ever-present, ever-existing soul. We're made up of the stars, my friends. And while we do have limited capabilities, limited experiences, limited time here, that's just in the now. So how can we learn to expand past the limitations of ADHD, of the modern definition of it as a diagnosis for something that needs to be treated, something that must be managed, and look at it as something that we're as what we're going through here and now as a lesson. So first we will go ahead and pull our Oracle cards. The Maiden. Maiden, can you please give us guidance tonight for this ADHD collective on embracing the authentic self? And that one, okay. And that one. Confidence. Divine confidence is completely different from the bravado of the ego. Okay, guys, we were just talking about ego identities. You make space for something larger to take hold. Consciousness, the experience. Oh man, guys. Please fill me with your confidence, oh love. Grant me courage I never knew I had. Courage to step out of these limiting identities, guys. Wow. Thank you, Maiden. Wow. Feelings. Emotions want to be felt. You really can't surrender something until you deeply feel it. Allow me, dear divine, to offer all emotions to you, feeling them fully, so they no longer hold me captive. Guys, I've been preaching about this the entire series. And I feel like we need the confidence to be able to feel our feelings as well. As women with ADHD, we do have the tendency to feel things deeply. So how loneliness. When you stop fearing your aloneness, you stop settling for less. Just, may I embrace and love my solitude. And that's when kindred spirits can finally come. Ooh, that one hit hard. All right. These oracle cards are from the mother. Mother. How can we embrace our authentic self as women with ADHD, as wild women, women that feel deeply, that know deeply, that can create magnificently? How can we embrace our authentic selves, please, Mother? Okay, we got edge, potential, boundaries, and indecision. Potential, right? The potential to step past these boundaries of identity and to step out of indecision and decide to commit fully to this confidence of experiencing ourselves without limits. Potion, invigoration and empowerment. Oh man, the wild woman is invigorated. She rides, she runs, she dances. She's empowered to express herself fully. Oh wow. And then winter, an ending, recharging, reflection. All right, an ending to this cycle of tying yourself to your identity as a woman with ADHD is tying to yourself to this identity of someone who forgets, someone who is late, someone who can't keep track of time, eliminating all of those identities, stepping into confidence, surrendering emotions, and knowing that we're okay with ourselves. We don't need that validation from others. When we're safe being alone, we can all rise up together. Crone, can you please give us guidance tonight for this ADHD collective to embrace their authentic selves, to step out of these ego identities, to experience true freedom and expansion of our souls? Okay. We got retreat. Interesting. Retreat. We got the loneliness card. An ending, recharging, and reflection. And it's very isolated looking, right? And then retreat. Anger. Anger. Immediately I'm being drawn to this box, right? This box, the limit. Being tied to this identity, being limited and not being able to step into your potential. And sexual energy. Talk about wild, right? Sexual energy. Look at the freedom here. Passion. Pure creation energy. To create this new experience, this new reality. Wow, that's phenomenal. Thank you so much. Can we go deeper, please, Maiden? Deeper with this message of ego identity loss, of embracing our authentic selves, ourselves that aren't limited by this time, this space, this experience that we're in. All right, the Fool on the bottom of the deck. Oh, wow. I'm telling you guys, next Monday, the last day of the series, you're going to listen to the Fool. The first card we got is the Ace of Pentacles, followed by the King of Pentacles, then the Chariot, and the Four of Wands. I'm going to need to move some of these cards around so I can have more space. Is it funny once I meet both the cards from the group? What's going to happen? Now we have room. Sorry about that interruption. All right, now we're going to work with the mother. Mother. Let's get deeper with here. How can this ADHD collective embrace their authentic selves? Knight of Wands. Ooh, the Knight of Wands. Look at that. A new journey that you're passionately pursuing. Eagerly pursuing. Love that. First card we got is the Three of Cups. And the community. Celebration. Followed by the Queen of Pentacles. The Four of Cups. Look, we talked about loneliness earlier. Look at her. Grounded in her safe in her loneliness. And then we got the Page of Swords. Gorgeous. All right, Crone, can you finish this out, please, here? Tarot guidance for embracing the authentic self, please. The Five of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck. The Eight of Swords. I just need to leave this card on the table. She brings it every time. The Six of Swords. Nine of Cups. The Fool again. We got the Fool from the Maiden, the Fool from the Crone. Wow. And the Nine of Swords. Yeah. That's what it feels like when we're masking. When we're suffering in our loneliness, right? When we are trapped in this Eight of Swords, afraid and angry, and trapped in all of our creation, all of our creative power. It's stepping into that wild woman energy where we can make anything, we can manifest anything, we can create anything in this plane, instead of having the confidence to take this gift from Spirit and plant it and ground it into this reality, for it to materialize here in the now, and to grow all the way from the Ace to the King, right? To just be inundated with the safety of being alone, inundated with the safety of expressing ourselves and not hiding. The empowerment that comes when we can share our feelings with others, when we can put to rest all that we have experienced in the past. And we've done the shadow work. I talked about it last time. I'll link it in the replay for you guys. When we've retreated and gone inward and feel safe in our bodies, safe in ourselves, safe in our emotions, when we can unbox this anger, take it out of the box, look at it, feel it, and surrender that feeling to the divine, right? To cut the chains that bind us, to cut all of the patterns that we've allowed ourselves to fall into, where we continue to feel, we continue to relive that experience. The one we're ashamed of, the one that we're humiliated by, the one that disempowers us, that doesn't allow us to step into our potential. How can we create boundaries for ourselves? Boundaries against this indecision. Boundaries against saying yes to everything, right? Boundaries against wallowing our feelings and wallowing in our loneliness. When we're unempowered, disempowered, we don't have boundaries. We forget ourselves. We sacrifice ourselves. But your soul is screaming tonight, screaming like the wild woman that it is. I mean, souls don't have genders, but you understand what I mean. Screaming with that fierce, sexual, wild energy of creation. It's angry, right? That sacred rage. It's time for a change. It's time to stop masking. It's time to empower yourself, to be invigorated with who you are, to be, what's the word? Smitten. It's not the word I wanted, but it'll work. Smitten with this version of yourself that you're trying to create. With the Fool coming out twice, this is an opportunity. The zero energy, the void, the cosmic womb, the fertile unknown, where there's infinite possibility, unlimited potential, where we can end a pattern that is no longer serving us. And we can, with this chariot energy, this balanced energy, this integrated duality, with the black and the white here. You know, the chariot, he's always going to get what he wants. He's not going to slow down the person in the middle of the road. He's not going to swerve. He is on his way, and he's going to get there. And as women, society has taught us to always sacrifice ourselves, sacrifice our needs for those of others. But the Maiden is encouraging here with the chariot to commit fully to yourself, fully to yourself. Do not be take decisive action. We're not going to step into the indecision of the head. We're going to put ourselves first. We're going to retreat within, see what needs to be released, and step into the power of your soul, the power of belonging, the power of remembering your potential, remembering the infinite possibility within you. Remember all of the different dimensions and layers and timelines that you can experience here. And not allowing yourself to be persuaded any other way than the fact that you are here to expand. To expand and celebrate. This is the 1111 card, the doorway, the entrance, the homecoming, coming home to yourself. Supposed to be the marriage card, being married to this new version of you that has sacred boundaries. And boundaries don't have to be rigid walls. They can move, right? They just have to be there. We just have to acknowledge that we have them. And we can constantly evaluate. With the Mother giving us the Three of Cups, we can constantly communicate with those around us, with our community, explaining why we have these boundaries, how they're serving us, how we're growing, how we want to experience new things. And to do that, we have to change our environment and the way that we're showing up in the world. And mostly, this Queen of Pentacles card, the Queen created her reality. Excuse me. It's the reality of her fancy, what she has longed for and desired. She's put in the work. She's done the work required and maintained it, right? She's running a kingdom here. She's maintained it. A lot of people associate Cherry with that energy with selfishness. But the Queen of Pentacles puts herself first as well. Because if she doesn't, she can't serve her people. She can't serve her community with 3 of Cups. She can't serve her family. But more importantly, she can't serve her soul. Now I feel with the 4 of Cups coming out, again from the Mother, it feels like we've been overwhelmed, dissatisfied with all of the different ways we're experiencing ADHD in our life, all of the challenges that we're focused on, right? All of the challenges that just make our lives more difficult. But then the Mother's encouraging us to come through with this Page of Swords. So we really examine, retreat with our thoughts. How can we step into a learner mindset, a beginner mindset? And the Page of Swords is diligent. The Page of Swords is very aware. It's on the lookout, right? When we start rewriting thoughts that we have and the identities that we've claimed, it's not just in here, right? That's where it starts. But once you start trying to change this, your body's going to try to reject it. You're going to have resistance. You're going to try to push it away. You're going to try to fall back into this Page of Swords energy, this bound, chained energy. But it's the energy that's created all by yourself. This is self-imprisonment. This is 6 of Swords. The Crone is encouraging us to take action, to move by taking control of our thoughts towards your almond energy. Air and when I said air, I just got the idea of cleansing. So maybe you need to do some additional breath work. Do an exercise where you are imagining all the previous versions of yourself and you cut them from your body, from your physical body, see them come out of your body, and then blow as hard as you can and force them away. Force them into the void. Surrender them to the divine, to be composted, to be transmuted, transformed. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can be transmuted, it can be transformed into this 9 of Cups energy from the Crone. This is wishes fulfilled, contentment, happiness, like, I'm living the life of my dreams. I'm finally empowered. I'm finally free of the fear of judgment, that people are going to say I'm too much, that people are going to say I'm too loud, too messy, too creative. Free of indecision, free of emotional enslavement. Again, the Fool coming out. The opportunity to trust spirit here. Again, that's surrender to the divine, surrender the feelings to the divine, surrender all of our emotions to the divine. To channel the confidence of the divine. The Fool is confident. The Fool is just like, let's say it's naive energy, but to me, I feel like it's that innocence, that trust, right? The trust before we were broken and beat down by the experiences of this world. Or we bought the stories, the programming that society is trying to force upon us before we were in this 9 of Swords energy, overwhelmed with anxiety, with stress, with true fear, right? But when we step into our authenticity, I just was talking about this on Christian Science video. She posted something about, no longer holding yourself captive, something along those lines. I'm not going to be censored anymore. And it resonated for me on such a deep level, because as I've stepped into my tarot journey, where I really rediscovered myself, tarot has been such a meditative practice for me. I love solving problems and I love stories. So when I have a card and I can tap into how it makes me feel, I can read the meaning, I can look at the pictures. It helps me go deeper and deeper into myself, right? That's where that knowledge is coming from. And it's empowered me so much to finally trust myself again, to trust my intuition, to trust my gut even more, to not second guess myself, and to understand that I'm committing to myself, because the freedom that comes with it, you guys, it's phenomenal. I feel like my soul is soaring all the time, even though I still do things I don't like. I still do things that aren't, my reality is not a reflection of what I know it will be yet. And that's okay. Because like I've said, I know that it's coming. I know my reality is going to reflect what I feel inside. And that's because I'm in alignment. I'm allowing my soul to lead. I'm not chained by fear anymore. And because I had it. It was so bad. I would say something and immediately be like, oh man, I shouldn't have said that. Because I do have a very strong personality. A lot of people interpret as aggressiveness, but that's not really, I'm just very blunt, kind of, and to the point. And I'm trying to learn to soften more, to step into my Empress energy. But a lot of that is from the programming of having to do so much throughout my life, having to step into this unhealthy, toxic masculine energy. And it's not always that way, right? We should have a healthy masculine energy. But with ADHD, having some of the skills and the some of the skills that we have, like hyperfocus, being able to learn things quickly, being able to do more quickly. If you use those, especially in context of your work, then the expectation of you gets raised, because they know, oh, she can do more. And that just leads to burnout. It leads to toxic expectations. It's not sustainable, especially as I've talked about my human design a little bit as well. I have the manifestor human design. And so my energy is very important. I don't work constantly. It's not how I'm designed. I'm here to initiate change, to spark change, right? To get the wheels going. I'm really good at that. I've always been really good at that. But throughout my life, I've carried shame because I haven't been able to conform to modern society. I dropped out of college. People thought I was crazy, but I knew it wasn't what I needed to do. I have so many projects around my house that I haven't finished, and I just get frustrated with myself. I used to get frustrated with myself. You see that? See that? That's how you reprogram your brain. We have to think about how we're speaking. We have to catch it in the moment, right? But when I learned that it's okay for me to dive into my hyper-focus, and that's where my energy's at, surrender to it. Surrender to the energy, because I'm a manifestor, and that means my energy's flowing. That is a divine download, right? That's spirit telling me, do this now. You're meant to do this. When I've surrendered to that and starting stepping into alignment with that, it's wild. Like if I feel drained and I honor my body and I allow myself to rest, it's fine. And then when that inspiration strikes again, when the Knight of Wands that we had on the bottom of the deck, when that strikes again, I'm recharged and I can go. And that's not modern, right? If you think about all the eccentrics, like artists and people in the world that are not truly eccentric. They're just labeled that way because they're not a conformist. They're just living in authenticity, in alignment with their true selves. And a lot of those people will stay up all night long working, right? And then sleep all day. But that's because that's their energy. They've learned that's what works best for them. So how can you do that? So that you can get rid of this 9 of Swords, this anxiety and worry of rejection, this fear that keeps you up all night. I've been there. I've done that. I know what it feels like, friends. Excuse me. I know what it feels like. I know what it feels like to have a panic attack so bad that your mouth is sealed shut. It feels like peanut butter stuck in your mouth, that you can't see straight. Your world is spinning. You feel like you have a weight pushing down on your chest. I know what that feels like. And until we get in alignment with our souls, until we surrender to our authenticity, until we channel the courage, the confidence from the divine, and commit to ourselves, commit to the expression of ourselves without fear of rejection. And, once we step into that energy, I'm not saying that you'll never have rejection again. We will. But again, I talked about this a little bit a couple days ago. When we get to the point in our lives that we understand that rejection is just redirection. Rejection is not a reflection of us. It's not a reflection of our worth. It's not a reflection of our quality, of our ideas. We're just mirrors to everybody around us, and they're mirrors to us. And that may be a complex thought to some people if you're not familiar with that. But it simply means that we see something in other people that reminds us of something in ourselves that maybe we didn't want to see if it's something we don't like, right? Or it's something that we love about ourselves that we see in them, and so we are just like, oh, I love that. Sending love and light to anyone that is open to receive it. Thank you, Maiden. Thank you, Mother. Thank you, Crone, for this beautiful message, this empowering message, this invigorating message for this wild woman ADHD collective. Thank you for these messages of hope. Help us to continue to embody them, continue to integrate them in our lives, so that we can celebrate this new life with the 9 of Cups. Let me know in the comments. What are you afraid to express right now? What part of you is afraid to show up in the world as yourself, is afraid to expose your desires, your creations, is afraid to be taken out of your heart and created in this world? I mean, we got the Fool twice here, friends. So this is definitely energy that we can move forward with. This blind faith, this knowing that once we commit to ourselves, we're able to create the lives of our dreams. We're able to create community with others where we're safe. Safe to be who we are. Safe to come as we are. I see I have 2 viewers. Does anybody like a card pulled for them tonight? I'm done with the main message, so let me know in the chat. And then if you do, let me know if you want the Maiden, the Mother, or the Crone archetype to pull your message from. It must have scared you off. Sorry. friends. It's been a pleasure to read for you tonight. It's been beautiful energy. Such beautiful energy. Would you like a reading tonight, my friend? I just asked that and then everybody disappeared. So I don't know if you were part of them or if you're a new viewer. I'm done with the main reading, so I'm offering personal readings for everybody. 1 card pulls if you would like. You guys keep running off. Okay. I guess it just means it's time to close the reading. No, you're safe to express yourself here. You're safe to tell me what you're going through in the comments. You're safe to express your loneliness, your fear, your anxiety. You won't be judged here because we know how you're feeling. This is so great. If this message resonated with you, I will link the last unmasking video that I did, because I'm sure it has additional messages that will really sing to your soul. But I'd like to remind you, in this channel, come as you are and stay as you become. Bye, my friends.